The last of Rome's 7 wonders is the most infamous building on Earth, the Colosseum. Behind its beautiful walls were once terrifying scenes of combat, of blood, of death. The building was the largest and most notorious of all Roman amphitheaters. Standing taller than 16 stories, the Colosseum could hold a crowd of over 80,000. It was an arena of entertainment and a cathedral of death. Plans to build the Colosseum began after the death of the Emperor Nero. His rule of terror had left public morale so low that Vespasian, who followed him, had to build something exceptional to win back public support.
Vespasian was something of an anomaly amongst the Roman emperors. He was hardworking, sober, a plain dealer, honest, frugal. The Romans liked him.
In AD 70, Vespasian's engineers drained Nero's private lake and laid the foundations for Rome's largest amphitheater. The oval design encompassed a central arena. High-banked terraces were designed to give every spectator a clear view of the ring. Inside, there was a labyrinth of vaulted tunnels. There were 76 entrances, allowing crowds of spectators to swarm along the passages to the seats above. Inside, the whole structure rested upon load-bearing piers, braced with arches and vaults.
Vaulting gives us this domed roof, like the one above me, made out of a Roman concrete placed on a wooden frame or formwork, and arches like this one, made out of cut stone blocks. Together, the arches and the vaults give us a wide, open public space for people to mingle and circulate. And the arches give the Colosseum its distinctive architectural appearance all around the outside.
Moving up the facade, the first 3 floors were arched. The 4th and 5th were solid walls of concrete faced with brick. Modern building techniques enabled the 150-foot high facade to be put up quickly. 300 tons of iron cramps helped to bond all the masonry together. Standard sizes of brick and easily mixable concrete allowed production line efficiency on site. Vespasian had no time to lose. He was in a hurry to win back the people before his years overtook him. The Colosseum was the answer. And as emperor, he would have the best seat. Beside him would sit senators. On the tier above, noblemen. Above, soldiers and citizens. Above them, slaves. The worst seats of all, on the very top story, were for women.
What this meant was that the place was a microcosm of Roman society. And when you looked out at it, graphically, you saw in effect the whole Roman world displayed before you.
Above, an awning protected the spectators from the sun. 1,000 sailors were stationed in Rome to erect its sails.
One of the astonishing things is that this great, massive edifice, probably the greatest building project, certainly the most complex one of antiquity, was put together in a period of perhaps 5 years.
Yet despite the speed of its construction, Vespasian would never live to see the Colosseum's completion. He died before his great gift was realized. It would be his son Titus who would officially open the most terrifying arena on Earth. For 100 days, he treated the people of Rome to the killing of wild beasts, the executions of men, women, and children, as well as gladiatorial contests. This industrial-scale slaughter was all made possible by engineering. Hidden beneath the arena, a labyrinth of tunnels allowed stage sets and dead bodies to be moved in and out. There were 32 animal pens holding caged lions, tigers, elephants, and crocodiles. But by turning a winch, the doors of their cages could be opened, and trapdoors would release the bewildered and hungry creatures into the arena. As many as 5,000 a day were slaughtered. Some species were reduced to the point of extinction.
It really was death on an industrial scale, and it had to run like clockwork. There's a story about one emperor, Claudius, who actually threw some of his scenic designers and stage technicians to the lions because the machinery had broken down and the show didn't go on well.
Executions provided popular midday entertainment. Christians, Jews, criminals, and slaves were tortured to death in the most novel ways to provide the greatest spectacle.
It's certain that they had a different level of tolerance for watching humans and animals suffer terrible pain without feeling they needed to get up and stop it. We know, for example, that they would actually make women have sex with bulls or with donkeys before they finally died.
The highlights of any day were the gladiators. Many were enslaved prisoners of war from conquered tribes, the Samnites, the Thracians, and the Gauls. After the opening of the Colosseum, new gladiator schools opened beside it. Soon, there were 2,000 trained gladiators ready to fight for their lives.
One of the Romans' favourite ways of varying the diet of gladiatorial combat was to make the gladiators take on identities of mythical characters in a big fight. So you could have Achilles fighting Hector, or you could have Hercules fighting one of his great enemies. And they would fight to the death, but in a form of disguise and impersonation that's actually got more to do with theatre.
If they lived long enough to see out their contracts, they could become free men. The Colosseum made some gladiators into heroes and superstars. Some would be given a second chance. Others would die within its walls, their bodies dragged away at the end of a contest. 42 emperors would benefit from Vespasian's vision. The Colosseum was a building designed to keep the people happy. It succeeded, but the price was high. 700,000 souls would die within its walls. The Colosseum remains today as a masterpiece of design, shrouding the darkest memories of the most ruthless civilization. The 7 wonders of Rome were all outstanding creations, pushing architecture and engineering to a level unsurpassed for well over 1,000 years. The audacity of their construction still challenges architects to better them, to develop new materials, to solve new problems, to do as the Romans did, and build into the future.